Good morning and welcome to the show. We are here with our friend Vonda Gaynor, otherwise known as Vonda the Coupon Queen. Vonda, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me, Don.
We're saving money all over the place today. We've got all kinds of financial advice on the show today, but we always like starting the show off with you to tell us how to save money on like everyday items.
Yes, I know everybody knows that I use coupons, but everybody doesn't have coupons. So today I want to give some tips on how people can save money on basic everyday items.
Without coupons.
Without coupons.
Is it coupons or coupons?
Some people say coupons. I say coupons.
Coupons, because you're the coupon queen.
Yes, that's
with a
it.
Q and a P. Okay. Anyway, now that we got that out of the way, we got that settled.
Yes.
How can you save money without coupons?
So,
Coupons.
For example, toothpaste. We'll go with name brand toothpaste and denture cleaner. Effordent.
Okay.
Two extremely overpriced items, but the dollar stores sell those.
The same brand name?
Same brand for $1.
You know, my mom growing up, when I was growing up, my mom always got the store brand. The Pathmark had no frills, and we used to like, ugh. And they had like the ugliest labels on them. You know, it was just a white label with black lettering, and it was, there were 6 kids. So it was always no frills. We used to call it the no frills house, you know?
Well, all of the dollar stores.
But a lot of those items are packaged by the same company. So they just have different
exactly.
labels.
So Colgate, Crest, and like I said, Effordent, denture cleaner, which I found out from my mailman is extremely expensive. That's one thing I supply to my mailman. The dollar, I do. He loves it. I gave him toothpaste one year. I can't believe. Okay, and he gave it back. He's like, me and my wife need denture cleaner. I'm like, I got you.
You got to keep that mailman smiling.
Got to keep him smiling. And of course, I use coupons for that, though. But if you don't have it, why would you go to another store and pay $4 for Effordent when you can get Effordent for $1?
And it's the exact same product.
Or,
it's just a different store.
Exactly. Or one tube of toothpaste, $3.50 or $3.99 when you can get name brand toothpaste for $1.
Wow. That's substantial savings. So you really have to know where to go.
You have to know where to go. And all of the dollar stores have them, to include Dollar Tree, where everything is $1. So, they have those items.
So dollar stores are the key to big money savings.
Yes.
That's amazing. I wonder how they even do that.
I don't. Well, some of it is smaller sized packaging, but I don't mind getting 20 Gain dryer sheets for $1 versus paying $3 for 34.
Yeah.
That's a no-brainer.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to do just a little bit of public math. And it's cheaper to buy smaller packages in the long run. So
exactly.
Sometimes you just got to look. And, you know, all those little things we had in school, you know, all those little simple math problems when you had in grade school, like what is cheaper? I mean, you have to look at the weight. You got to look at the count.
Yes.
You got to look at the price. And it just takes a little extra effort. And people are busy with their lives. I understand that. But if you find out where those bargains are, you can do that.
Yes.
And you'll tell people where the bargains are, too, won't
Absolutely.
you? And all we really have to do is seek you out on Facebook.
Yes.
Right? And we can find out some other bargains. So changing your shopping habits.
Yes.
You know, maybe going to different stores for different things.
It keeps extra money in your pocket. And I mean, they have every ink pens. Coupons come out for big ink pens. But if you don't have a coupon, do you want to spend $3.50 for a pack of ink pens? Or go to one of the dollar stores for big ink pens and only pay $1.
And it's the same ink and it's the same
pen.
Same
ink, same company, same everything.
Wow, that's amazing stuff. So, and if you throw a coupon into the mix.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and you're really saving.
Then you're really saving money.
You are really saving.
So dollar stores are the key?
Yes, for everyday household items.
Looking at either the weight or the count in the packages. Sometimes buying a smaller package of the same, several packages of a smaller package will save you money.
It's the way to go.
And it's really counterintuitive because you would think like, you know, getting jumbo size would save you money, but not always the case. Well, thinking outside the box. Once again, Vonda Gaynor, the Coupon Queen. Or is it Coupon Queen? Thanks so much.
Coupon.
Thanks so much for coming on the show and getting us smart on how to save money without coupons. We'll be right back after your Waking Up with Don weather. Welcome back to the show. I'm here with Laura Nelson from A-List Accounting to talk about end-of-year things we should be thinking about come tax time, I suppose. And maybe we should think about this all year round.
Yes.
I mean, if you have employees, I guess there are different categories or different flavors of employee that you can have that help you in your business.
Correct. You can have contractors or you can have employees.
Okay, so you can have a worker who is an employee, and you can have a worker who is a contractor or an independent contractor. And how does all that work? What's the difference?
Well, an employee, you tell them when to come and when to leave, 8 to 5. You know, you tell them what tasks to do.
Tell them how to do it.
And how to do it. I mean, you have more control over your employees than you do your independent contractor. Independent contractors, basically, you give them a task to do, they do it, whether it takes them, whether they do it that day or 2 weeks from that day.
So basically, employees work for you, and you can tell them how to do their job.
Right.
But an independent contractor provides a service.
Correct.
And you just kind of step back, and as long as that service is satisfactory, you really don't have much to say.
Correct.
About how they do the job.
Yes. And if you bring on an employee but hire them as an independent contractor, you know, you run the risk of getting caught by the IRS and then having to pay at least 20% of their wages you paid them, plus penalties, fines.
So I guess the difference is if you have an employee, there's a lot more responsibilities that you have toward that person than with a contractor. Is that
right? You have employment tax. So I mean, you know, you've got to pay your share of taxes, and that's pretty much what the government wants. But as far as independent contractor, and I think a lot of them, like if you came in and you wanted a job and they said, okay, well, I'll hire you as a contractor. The problem is I don't think they realize they are not paying in taxes. So when they get their 1099 at year end, they then owe.
Oh, so if you have somebody, even if it's just like a day laborer or something, working for you as an independent contractor, you got to let them know up front, hey guys, you're 1099 and you got to put some money aside for taxes.
Correct.
Just in case. We got to run off to a break. Let's explore that a little more after these messages. Welcome back to the show. I'm talking with Laura Nelson from A-List Accounting, and we're talking about contractors versus employees and what are the advantages and disadvantages. You know, in the previous segment we talked about, you know, if you have contract employees, you have to let them understand, of course, that they are contract employees and that they will get a 1099 and that they'll be taxed on that income.
Correct, yeah. And also, too, I mean, it's a benefit to the business to have a contract employee, by all means, because you don't pay taxes.
You don't pay payroll taxes or any of that
you just
stuff.
pay them straight the amount in which you say you know you're going to, and you're done. So that's great. But if they are considered an employee and you're just trying to avoid those employment taxes, that's when it's going to, you know, hurt you.
What's the difference? What's more beneficial to a company? Is it more beneficial to have a contractor or an employee, or a smart mix of both, or?
Probably a mixture of both, but I mean, even an independent contractor can be beneficial to the company because, I mean, you're saving, you know, at least 8% of their wages, you know, which you're not having to pay in employment taxes on, okay? And then you don't have to cover the overhead of them being there, you know, having an office, you know, things like that.
So why would anybody have an employee then if the contractor's that good?
Well, because they want to have control over what they're doing, you know, I mean, and a lot of people want, you know, to see that employee sitting there, you know, I mean.
Yeah.
So,
and if you want things done a certain way, you have much more control over an employee. Now, at the end of the year, an employee gets a W-2.
Correct.
Right? So, and their taxes are already taken out.
Yes.
So, at the end, when they file with that W-2, you know, the employer's job is done, really.
Correct, yeah.
And I guess the same for the 1099. However, taxes are not taken out of that.
Right.
But the employer's job is done there, too,
right.
once they get their 1099. Then it's up to the employee. So
to cover the 15%.
Up to the contractor, rather.
The contractor, yes. The independent contractor is now held responsible for the whole 15%.
Wow. So a 15% payroll tax, is that what it is? Or income tax, or whatever.
Yeah, normally it's shared. You pay 7.65, and then the employer pays the other portion.
All right. So when in doubt whether or not you should have an employee or an independent contractor, Call Laura Nelson at A-List Accounting, and she'll help sort that out for you. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. I've got Heather Noyes from Raymond James Financial here in the studio, and your office, of course, is in Panama City, and you advise people on what to do with their money, how to invest it, how to prepare for retirement. But I guess part of your job is getting people prepared for tax time, too. You want to be nice to yourself, right?
Absolutely. And there's a lot of things you can do with your investments to make tax time, a little easier.
Or a little less painful.
A little less painful. So if you haven't done your taxes yet, you still actually have time to make a contribution to your IRAs. And any contribution to your traditional IRA, if you qualify, there's some income limitations, can actually reduce your taxable income. If you're the amount you can put in is $5,500, and if you're over 50, you can put in $6,500, and you can do that and your spouse if you're married. So potentially, you could get that much money put away that's going to reduce your income taxes for the year.
So if you have a working spouse, right, you both can...
Even a non-working spouse.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So if you're over 50, you could put up to $5,500. Is that what you said?
$6,500.
Up to $6,500. And if you have a spouse, even if it's a non-working spouse, you can double that?
Exactly.
Wow. So if you've got the money, that would be a good time.
So you get $13,000 put in. You've got till April the 15th to do it for the previous tax year.
Well, that's good advice. And you could just slam it in at the end of the year to get up to that limit.
Yeah.
But I guess for most people, you program it during the year.
Right.
To try and reach that.
Yeah, it's
level.
Usually too late. That's one of the few things that, you come around at tax time and go, oh my gosh, I need to do something.
I should have put more in.
Right. Well, yeah, you should have done a lot of things the year before. The other thing, if you're a business owner or self-employed, there's two other options actually that you can do now. And one of them is to set up a SEP IRA, which will allow you to put 25% of your earnings up to a maximum of $52,000 for 2014. So you can still have time to set that up as well if you're self-employed. A SEP. A business owner or just self-employed, then you can set up a SEP. And then if you had a 401k in place, an owner-only 401k, you actually have until your tax filing time. And the same is true for the SEP, actually. If you set up a SEP and you file for an extension, then you actually have till October then to get the money in for 2014.
Well, I guess that extension counts for everything,
Absolutely.
I would imagine. Yeah, why not? And the deadline is still April 15th, is that right?
Right.
Okay. Now, how's this tax year different in your business than in years past? Because I know there's a lot, the Affordable Care Act has kicked in, and that's a big component of the IRS's job now.
Yeah, some things, especially if you're an investor and you have taxable investment accounts, your income that you've earned off of them, dividends, even your municipal income, which is traditionally tax-free income, capital gains, all of these things, if you're over a certain income level, you're going to pay an additional 3.8% Medicare surtax on those earnings for the year. So again, even like municipals, they've always been tax-free, no taxes. Well, now there's extra surtax, 3.8, and then there's also an additional 0.9% on income, like earned income, so not just the passive
Does
income.
that include dividends or whatever?
Those are that's the passive or the unearned income, and that's subject to the 3.8% additional tax.
So everything's getting taxed. So basically, if you've done anything right in your life, you're going to pay now.
Right, and savings, right. And
this is not a political show.
Some other things that they took that have changed also is that you may notice that some of your personal exemptions are being reduced. So if you're over against certain income levels, they reduce those personal exemptions. There's also some takeaway as far as your itemizations go as well.
Geez, so I guess when in doubt, you need to see a financial advisor.
Absolutely.
And earlier is better than later. I mean, so if there are so many changes this year that you weren't really prepared for, I guess now you've got to kind of plan this year out, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, now would be a good time to plan for next year's tax year.
Absolutely.
I mean, so what would be some of the just quick advice you'd give someone?
Obviously, you want to fund your retirement plans that you have at work. If you've got one available, put as much as you can. That money comes out. And if you don't qualify for an IRA contribution, that's a good way to get some money put away pre-tax, and that's in your 401k plan that's at work. The other thing that we want to look at is how your assets are positioned. So if you have bonds, for example, that pay ordinary interest. You don't want those in your investment. You want those more in your IRA accounts where they're going to be sheltered because they're going to be taxed at higher rates.
Well, try and sock away as much as you can.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
And when in doubt, call Heather Noyes at Raymond James Financial here in Panama City. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. I'm here with Dan Hines from Dan Hines Coaching. And Dan, welcome back.
Thank you, Don. Good morning.
You know, we've had some really interesting talks over the last few weeks.
Yes,
we talked about
have.
your relationship with money and your kids.
Yep.
And your significant other or spouse or
Yes.
whatever. And what about friends and money?
Yes. So
That's
one,
a dicey area sometimes,
it can be. Because, I mean, certainly we all love to have fun, and we all like to hang out with our friends, and we love to show that we love them, and we trust them, and that we want to give them gifts and hang out and stuff. But the problem is that when you start to get on a budget is that maybe you have to start picking retirement over your friends, or paying the bills and your friends, or you know, having fun yourself and relaxing over your friends. So
especially for young single people who may have a
Yes.
wide group of friends,
Right.
And maybe they go out every Friday or every Saturday.
yeah, I
know.
mean, because you see a lot of TV
Yeah.
shows, and everyone's always out at a bar or a restaurant. I mean, Friends, they were always at the coffee shop as well. So it's great to spend time with friends. There's nothing wrong with that, and especially during the holidays, is that you don't have to buy a gift for every single friend. I mean, even if you're trying to do $5 or $10 here and there,
It all adds up.
First of all, it all adds up. And second is that spending time with them is far more valuable. Is that if you're traveling through or friends are traveling through, just taking time to have some coffee or have some lunch or even go get a beer is a wonderful thing. And spending an hour with them, especially with friends and family, can be extremely valuable.
Or maybe just even a little token gift or a card or something that,
Yeah,
you know.
you don't want it to ruin you. I mean, it's because if you don't have enough money the next time that they come to town or the next time they invite you to lunch, it's not going to be any fun. And so, and they might feel guilty and for inviting you and cover you. So now, if they're paying for your lunch, it starts to hurt the relationship at that point.
Yeah, you don't want to be a burden to your friends. What about loaning friends money?
That's a tough one. I mean, it's whenever you have that transaction between either friends or family, that's a new strain on the relationship.
It is a relationship
I mean,
killer,
if you owe them money and then you go out and pay for lunch, it's like, well, why didn't you pay me instead of paying for the lunch? And that's where things can get really strained. I don't suggest loaning friends money. I mean, if they're really in a bind, maybe rather than giving them money, is help them start to budget. You know, rather than giving them a fish, teach them to fish. Say, well, hey, what's going on? I mean, is it me, or is it because we go, you know, especially you and your coworkers, as if you're always going out to lunch. The worst thing when you start a diet is when you have coworkers and say, hey, let's go to lunch, is that they start to become enablers.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. You don't want to be the only guy back in the office who doesn't go to lunch with the gang.
Right, it feels
Yeah.
terrible, and but it's not their fault. They just say, hey, let's go to lunch, it's time to go, or let's go have a drink tonight. And if you don't have the money or the energy, or especially if you're on a diet, if you don't have
Or a financial diet.
or a financial diet, one thing you want to do is you need to be able to say no. But being on a budget helps you figure out what's that line. Now, a budget does not mean you stop having fun. You still want to have some fun money. You know, $50, $70, even maybe $20 that you just have sitting around, and when they invite you to lunch, you go to lunch. And that you can just say yes and you can just go. But at some point, you've got to set a limit to say, well, I mean, it's great hanging out with you guys, but I've got to pick retirement, I've got to pick paying my bills or something over you guys. It feels terrible, but you gotta do
budget
what
for
you
your
gotta do.
good times.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
then plan your activities around that budget.
Right.
Instead of reversing it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And especially if you're in a position, maybe you can suggest a different idea. Says, hey, rather than going out to lunch tomorrow, why don't we just have a potluck? You bring a dessert, you bring a pasta salad, I'll bring sandwich meat or something, and you can all enjoy, but it's going to be a lot cheaper for everybody, and you can still have fun.
Yeah, and I've known people who've done that. Instead of going out to dinner every weekend with that other couple who's like really cool to hang out with,
Yeah.
why don't you like have dinner at one house and then the other house?
Exactly. Especially cooking for yourself or cooking for friends is going to be cheaper for both of you.
It is, and eating out is so expensive.
It can be.
And as Americans, we spend a lot of money eating out.
Right. I mean,
all those lunches with work all add up. All those dinners on a weekend, it all adds up.
Absolutely. And so you want to keep track with that, and especially with your friends. And if they're coming over to your house, you want to avoid showing off your toys. You know, it's one of those things where if you start to feel that, well, I've got to show things off, that means I've got to start buying bigger and better things to show off in the future. If they're curious and they want to see your gun collection and your coin collection or anything else, that's awesome. They're curious, you're friends. But if you're trying to show it off, it might be a danger area.
That is a friendship killer.
Yes.
Dan Hines from Dan Hines Coaching. Thank
Very
you so
good.
much for giving
Thanks,
us
Don.
those financial tips on friendship.
Very good. And don't forget that at the end of the month, Tuesday night, February 24th, we have a workshop coming up. So if this is something you want to talk about, it's going to be kind of a support group we can share, and we can help you out the best we can.
Okay, we'll make sure to be there. We'll see you next time.